fucking awesome?
What? I'm sorry.
I fucking hope so.
Nora, I want to come back to you in a second.
So, yeah, he's doing Strange Adventures, which I just decided to play out the rest of this clip so I could, kill time. Not really, though, but it's... I don't know what to think. I know one thing, I am not reading the Strange Adventures book, unfortunately. I'm being honest about it. I probably won't see the film. I mean, I will probably see the film because we need something to review in the future. So, the comic, however, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I do look forward to seeing his 12-issue limited series of Batman Catwoman. I will admit that. I do look forward to it. And he, of course, talked about Batman Catwoman, saying it will define and redefine the characters, Tom King promises. And here's the thing, if you make a promise to something, stick to it. Just stick to the promise. And Tom King discussed a series at the DC panel, the same panel where he decided to drop, F-bombs. He discovered the word fuck and fucking, and I'm so happy he discovered new words. He needs to evolve as a robot. So, he discussed it. He even comparing while writing what his plans to do with Batman and Catwoman to artist Frank Miller's own work on the Batman in the past, which, when you compare your Batman runs of Frank Miller's, I will be the judge of that. I love Frank Miller's Batman. I know that's going to trigger some people. I love Batman Year One, and I love The Dark Knight Returns, even The Dark Knight Strikes Again, even The Last Crusade, which is a good book, by the way. Him and J.R. did a good job with it. John Romita Jr., for those who don't know. It's a good book. I think it honestly should have been the last Batman book he ever wrote, in my opinion. Because that was a way to go out, writing that. Joker leaves the asylum. Kind of be like Miller leaving Batman. It'd be a great way to go out. But I'm happy he decided, I'm going to do one more Batman book, or another one. Shit, I hope he does more. I even said it before. I hope he writes a fucking Harley Quinn book, just to piss off everybody. Just to do it, just to piss off everybody. What do you think of the new writers in DC? I like James the Fourth, who's going to be doing Batman. I like Tom King. I said it once on one episode of the podcast where I said, if you take out Batman 50 and you take out the Nightmares, you still have a good Batman run. You do. And I like the last Batman books he did, 78, 79, and 80. Those were pretty good books. Yeah, those were pretty damn good stories, and I'm happy that he's moving on. And I hope to God he gets the good ending that everybody deserves. I look forward to Batman and Catwoman. I hope they have I hope he has a damn good ending, where to the point where everybody's happy for what he did. And I would have respect for him. Hell, if he writes a damn good Batman, Catwoman story and has a good ending, I might buy Strange Adventures. Just, like, even though you burned me on 50. You burned me on 50, then the Nightmare Story, to the point where I didn't even finish the Nightmare Stories. I was just like, I cannot sit through this anymore. The Wonder Woman writers, I feel sorry for. Because they're writing some serious bad characters and stuff. Brian Michael Bendis, I just can't stand. I'm sorry. I don't like Bendis. I don't like what he's doing with Superman. I don't like the whole dramatic story of, especially the part where Superman discovers that Lois and Lex have been talking secretly, which pissed me off. I was just like, fuck you, dude. I really didn't like what he did with it and all that. I mean, I'll admit, like, his Batman universe story, like, it wasn't really bad. Bendis actually did a good job. It didn't make no sense, though. Like, it goes from Gotham, then it goes to Starling City with Green Arrow, then all of a sudden to Green Lantern, then Jonah Hex, then somehow into Hawkman and Hawkgirl's world, back to Gotham. Like, it just made no sense. Like, how the hell did you jump from one area to the other area to the other area to the other area? And I'll admit, the artwork was really good. The artwork was very entertaining. But that made no sense. Like, you're jumping from different areas to stuff. What do you think of the directors of DC films? I tell you one thing. I did not... I like James Wan. What he did with Aquaman. And I think if he ever got his hands on, like, some of the DC characters with the supernatural horror stories, like, he would do a great job with them. I think if he got his hands on to do a Swamp Thing movie, then a Constantine movie, then a Deadman movie, then a Zatanna movie, and build it up to, like, Justice League Dark, I think it would be perfect. I think it would be a great thing. Like, he would do like a DC Supernatural or DC Underworld or whatever. I think if they did that, it would be a great way to not only introduce new characters, but bring in a new audience, like a new people who like horror movies, and when they see like Swamp Thing, they'd be like, I like that. That's what I think. I think if they just let James Wan, like, be like, here, we want you to do these characters of the DC Supernatural horror element stories. You make them, creative freedom to do what you want. It'd be great. Because you're giving a guy who made Conjuring, who made Saw, and you're giving him free reign to do a rated R supernatural horror comic book film. It'd be a great thing to see. Like, I would really like that. I would go see it. Like, Swamp Thing. I was so damn happy that they made Swamp Thing into a TV show. I was like, Swamp Thing, I need a tissue. Because I was so happy. I was like crying because it was like, you're finally making something new and fresh and a good character, and you canceled it after one season. And I never got so upset like the time when they canceled Everwood. I got so upset over that. I know it sounds weird to say that, but I enjoyed Everwood. I thought it was a good show. But speaking of it, I gotta talk about this one. Like, last night, I watched on E! Network. It's really weird, though. Somehow I was flipping through the channels, and I was watching Ghost Adventures, like 2-hour, 3-hour show. I don't know why, but somehow they were on there for like that long. They got on E! Network and did a documentary about Nexium, an Allison Mack of Smallville. I was so creeped out by this, but I got to talk about the directors of DC. Then I'll talk about Allison Mack and all that. One director I really enjoyed was Christopher Nolan. I always thought Nolan had a brilliant job with, The Dark Knight. Same goes with Zack Snyder with Superman. And the way Snyder did Superman was so new and interesting and really reinventing the character in the modern time. I know there's some people who are like stuck on the Christopher Reeve Superman era. And I'm not really being an asshole about it, but it's kind of annoying that anytime someone talks about Superman or writing a Superman movie, people always bring up the Christopher Reeve era Superman, which there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, anytime somebody talks about Batman, I bring up the Keaton or Adam West or Kilmer Batman, or the Christian Bale Batman now. But the Christopher Reeve one was always bugged me that way, that when you make a Superman movie, people always go like, it's got to be like the Christopher Reeve Superman. It has to be classic, it has to be PG, all these things. And it's so weird how people who read comic books, who read the Superman comics, and they evolved with the time. They made Superman evolve in the comics. In the film, they're stuck in 1978 to 1980. They just never want to evolve the character. They never want to evolve him into modern times. Here's the thing. The world has changed. The world isn't 1978. It isn't 1980. The world has changed. Superman, unfortunately, has to change with the world. He has to change with the times. He can't be this bubbly, happy, smiling, hands on the hip Superman. He has to be a Superman who is prepared for anything. Prepared for whatever comes at him. The world has to change, and so does Superman. Now, you look at Batman. As much as I want Batman to be the Bat-Tuesy, Batman has to change with the world as well. I mean, if you look at like Neil Adams, Denny O'Neil Batman, they made Batman dark. They made him grim. So did Frank Miller. Frank Miller just cranked it up. And Frank Miller showed that the world changed around Batman, and he had to change with it. I mean, he has to be this older, bitter, pissed off dude who's going to fuck somebody up. And he had to change. And I kind of miss the Miller Batman compared to Tom King's one. I mean, they're bringing him back where he's going to fuck people up. I mean, he has to. He has to completely beat the shit out of Bane. So it always bugged me that way. Like, people got so pissy and upset with, Zack Snyder's Batman. I was going to say Scott Snyder. I would love to see Scott Snyder write a Superman story. People got so upset with Zack Snyder's Superman that it just bugged me that way. It's like, the world changed. He just brought Superman into a more modern world. A realistic world. It's a great film now. I mean, Man of Steel, if you watch it, it's a really good film. It's kind of like to the point where, like, why did everybody jump off the boat before everyone got on? So,